My wife, I love my wife. She puts up with all my weirdness. I be blurting out random movie quotes all the time.
I did a random movie quote today, and she just looked at me. She goes, because her sister and her sister's big old family came over today and were hanging out with us. And her sister got on the phone with somebody and said something about H Mart. And I went, shop smart, shop S-Mart. And Denise goes, no, she said H Mart. And I said, yeah, I know. I was quoting a movie.
I walked in. My wife was cleaning the bedroom, and the door was closed. And I walked in. I said, "What the hell is going on in here?" Like from Batman Forever. Right. And she was like, "I'm just cleaning the room. I'm decluttering." I was like, "It's a movie. Don't worry about it."
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
And today we're doing something a little different. We're doing our top 15. You know, I didn't ask you. I was about to say favorite movie scores because I do want to
favorite. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that is my list. I almost texted you. I was like, "Is this top 10 best or top 10 favorite?" Because those are different.
Purely
things.
Subjective.
Okay, good. Because that's exactly how I made my list.
Yeah. If we did it objectively, it would be vastly different.
Yes. So yes, this is our top 15 favorite movie scores, which I got to be honest, Stu, this was a very difficult list. I had to impose some rules because when I originally started writing down movies, I was like, I labeled my paper 1 through 10 and I'm writing down movies and I go, well, like 8 of these are John Williams. I was like, I got to mix this up a little bit. So I actually cut out a bunch. So, I tried to mix it up so it wouldn't be either all. I mean, we could have done a top 10 John Williams movie scores easily.
We could have.
I could have also easily done a top 10 superhero movie scores because that was also a thought.
Yes.
And we could also have done a top 10 Hans Zimmer scores.
Yes.
So I tried to not have it be just completely John Williams and Hans Zimmer. And I tried to mix it up a little bit.
And not have it completely be superhero movies.
Right, exactly. There are a couple on there, but yes, I tried not to make it completely superhero movies.
I think half my list is superhero movies. It might be more than half, but
hey, yeah, I don't blame you. I could have easily done the same thing.
Yeah, I think I got a good 8.
I knocked it down to 4, I guess, kind of. So I might, but I could have easily done 10. Originally, this was going to be top 10. We had such a hard time with it, we decided to make it 15. So
yeah,
and we'll have honorable mentions. So this was difficult. It was difficult to narrow it down for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely agonizing over because we were originally supposed to do top 10, and because it was so difficult, I was like, well, I got all these honorable mentions. Let's do top 15. And now my actual list is 20 because I need to see my honorable mentions in addition to my top 15. So and even the honorable mentions were extremely difficult. So
yeah, I actually have 8 honorable mentions, so I will go through those quickly when we do them. But yes. Well, before we get started, I do want to say I really wish we could play clips. It would be really fun to actually listen to the music while we're talking about it. But unfortunately, due to copyright restrictions and stuff, I don't think we can do that. So what I'm going to do is, I think, I don't know Stu's list yet, but I'm pretty sure with my list, I think at least one of the tracks from all of these soundtracks are on YouTube. So I'll make a playlist of Justin's top 15 and I'll make a playlist of Stu's top 15. And I'll add it in the show notes, and you can listen to those videos listen to those tracks via YouTube and know what we're kind of talking about. Even though I'm sure people listening to this probably know the music already, but I thought that could be fun. So
yeah, there are 2 movies that I'm not quite sure will be on YouTube. There.
Okay,
but I mean they're not. I mean they're popular. They're known movies. But I'm not entirely sure they would be on YouTube, but
Okay.
the rest are absolutely on YouTube for sure.
Right. If they're not, then that is just how it'll be, I guess. Originally I thought about doing a Spotify playlist, but I know one of my choices is not on Spotify. So I think YouTube is probably a better option. I feel like more will be available on YouTube. So that's what we'll give it. We'll give that a shot and see how it goes.
Okay, cool.
That being said, I think we should just jump right into it. What do you think?
We should jump right into it. Age Before Beauty.
All right. Number 15 for me is an excellent movie called The Shawshank Redemption, music by Thomas Newman. And
Nice.
one of the reasons why this isn't a little bit higher is because the music is it's really good, but it's not something that I can just listen to like every day. It's very
It's somber.
It's somber. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. I almost said stoic, but yeah, somber is the better term.
Yeah.
But man,
one of my
good.
honorable mentions is for the same reason. It's a great score, but you know it's kind of it's a little bit of a downer.
Right.
But yeah,
that's
so
kind of
I
how I
completely
feel.
understand that.
Even though Shawshank is not I mean, there are parts of the movie that can be somewhat about a bit of a downer, but the movie itself, I would not categorize as a downer movie. Some of the music, a lot of the music, the main theme of the movie is very kind of somber, you know. So, so yeah, that's number 15 for me.
Okay, number 15 for me. People are going to be very surprised that this is not much higher, but I'm going to go with The Dark Knight.
Wow. I am surprised that's not higher.
Yeah. We talked about the score for Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises quite a bit during our Dark Knight Rises review. I love those scores, even Batman Begins as well. But the reason why it's not higher is for two reasons. This score doesn't have a whole lot of melody. There are only one or two tracks that have like a very distinct melody. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I know most of the score because I listen to it often. But that brings me to my next point. I don't listen to it quite as often as I do these other scores. There's one other score that I listen to less often than The Dark Knight, but it is, in my opinion, a better score. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, The Dark Knight. I mean, Hans Zimmer he's my GOAT. I know John Williams is your GOAT, but Hans Zimmer is my GOAT. He can do no wrong. Yeah, it's one of the best scores to one of the greatest movies ever made, regardless of genre. Like The Dark Knight is one of the greatest films ever made. It is a cinematic achievement in every way possible. So, and including this wonderful, wonderful score. The thing that I like most about Hans Zimmer, but specifically in this film, is that he creates sounds. The way he scores and the way he composes, it's a lot of sound design, and he creates instruments for certain tracks, like the Joker, like that wind up sound. Mm-hmm. What the instrument that he created for that sound did not exist before.
Right.
He and another guy, I forget the other guy's name, but they kind of like made that instrument out of a bunch of junk. And it created one of the most instantly memorable, recognizable sounds in cinematic history. As soon as you hear that wind up, you know the Joker's coming.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about The Dark Knight in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Number 15. All right. Number 14 for me might make people want to turn this off. And honestly, I could have put this higher because I used to listen to this score. I don't listen to it quite as much as I used to, but I used to listen to this score like on repeat. And that is Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. music by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL, aka Tom Holkenborg. Yeah. And as I'm saying it, I almost wonder if I should swap this with Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I love the score to Batman vs Superman, so I'll stick with it. I remember when the score first came out, I wasn't super impressed with the Batman theme, which is just that bum 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 bum, you know. But I was impressed with pretty much everything else. I love the music in the opening credits when we see, you know, the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. I love the Lex Luthor, the Red Capes are coming piano kind of theme.
Yeah,
it's so good. And then just, you know, reusing some of the Man of Steel elements and everything. It's just I was listening to that score over and over and over again. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
All right, moving on. My number 14. I debated on whether this was going to be on the actual list or an honorable mention, but I ultimately decided to put it on the actual list, and that is going to be 2022's The Batman. Michael Giacchino. Surprisingly, this is the only Michael Giacchino score
on your list. Yeah,
on my list, including honorable mentions. Because I was thinking about his filmography. You know what? I take that back. I just thought of another honorable mention. I know this is probably cheating. I don't care. It's my podcast. It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want. So I'm going to add that right now. Cool. What was I saying?
Michael Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino. Like, I was thinking about his filmography, and I love a lot of his themes. I don't find myself listening to a lot of his scores, like whole scores, over and over, with the exception of The Batman. The Batman is a fantastic score. It has grown on me. Not to say that I didn't like it. I loved it, mostly because the way he arranged the Batman theme gave me very Batman the Animated Series vibes. It was very nostalgic, kind of. It was very reminiscent of Danny Elfman, but still its own thing.
Right.
But the reason why I don't say I didn't, because I loved it. I don't want to say I didn't like it, but it's grown on me because before, the main theme was a bit heavy, and after a while I got sick of it. But I had to remember, I watched this movie like 5 times before it came out on physical. So it's one that you can listen to on its own, and it still have that feel. But it is also one that I have to forget about for a while before I listen to it again. Right.
Yeah, I listened to that one quite a bit when it first came out too. I only saw the movie one time before it came out on physical, and then I think I rewatched it one time once it came out on physical. So I never had a problem with that, with the theme being used as much as it was throughout the movie. I like, especially, you know, seeing it in the theater, I think I was just sitting there with a grin on my face the whole time. So I didn't really, I never once was like, okay, this music is being overused. I could see how you would feel that way, because it is used a lot throughout the score.
A lot, yeah.
But I love that theme, and especially like the track Bat in the Rafters, part 1 and part 2, both those tracks uses the theme so well in that whole sequence. So yeah, I love that score. It's a very good choice.
Yeah, I like I can't remember the name of the track, but it's basically the mayor's funeral, that scene. I love that, and and Michael Giacchino does a piano version. It's like a Batman sonata. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I can listen to that all day long, because he plays the whole suite. It's not just the theme. Not just the main theme. Yeah, he plays the whole suite, and it's so good.
Nice. That's on the soundtrack?
Yes. Yes.
I'll have to go back and find that track.
It's towards the end. It's the Batman the Riddler and Catwoman, they all have their own like full tracks.
Okay. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That was number 14 for you. Number 13. I actually think I'm going to switch something up here.
Okay. Do it.
I think the one I've got written down as my number 13. I think I'm going to take off my list, put that as an honorable mention, and take something off my honorable mentions and replace it.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll explain when we get to the honorable mentions. But so my new number 13 is also going to be a Michael Giacchino score.
Okay.
And that is the 2009 Star Trek.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. As soon as you said 2, I was like, yep, he's going for Star Trek.
And you kind of reminded me of something talking about the Batman, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. Michael Giacchino is a master of coming up with brilliant themes, but I don't listen to a whole lot of his scores like all the way through, with the exception of the Batman and this movie. Star Trek 2009, I can listen to that score from beginning to end, and I love it.
Yeah. Since we're talking about it, that is the movie that I added for my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
The Star Trek 2009. You and I are on the same wavelength with that one.
Yeah.
I love the movie.
Me too.
Like, I don't consider myself a Trekkie, but I love that 2009 Star Trek film. And that score is phenomenal. I love how he created a new theme and still like married it into the old theme.
Me too.
Oh, when the end credits roll, I turn the volume all the way up.
Yeah.
All the way up.
Yeah, I agree. I love that he came up with a new Star Trek theme that works so perfectly for the Kelvin universe, but also incorporates some of the Alexander Courage main Star Trek theme. And then, of course, the end credits is that theme. And then it goes into Michael Giacchino's own stuff. And it works so well. Like you said, he married those themes perfectly. And the one thing that bothers me about this soundtrack is they split up those last 2 tracks, which is the like build up into the final Star Trek theme, or like the main original Star Trek theme. So I ended up in editing software, threw them together, re-exported it as an MP3 and put it on my phone. I was like, these have to be one track.
Oh, you know what? I get that, because one of my favorite albums of all time, Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, All of the Lights. I'm pretty sure you've heard that song before.
I think so.
He has an intro to All of the Lights that is its own track.
Right.
And I was like, you can't listen to All of the Lights without and not listen to the intro, because the intro is so good. And I was like, why didn't you just make it one song, man?
It's frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause that too is like he does the main melody, but it's slower. It's on the piano, and the main melody is played by a violin. And then that leads into the main track. Like, as soon as the main track starts, it's all the vocals. It's like all of the lights, and it sounds incredible, because he had so many people on that song, not just singing their own individual parts, but singing background. He had John Legend, Elton John,
oh wow,
Alicia Keys, Fergie. Like, they were in the back, they were singing the background.
Right.
And it sounds amazing.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah. So Star Trek 2009, I love that score, and that's my number 13 pick.
Yes, very, very, very good pick. Number 13 for me is a bit of a cheat, because it's not a movie. It is a TV show, but it is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in my life. And that is Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Hill House. The score for that show is fantastic. I love the opening theme. I love all the different motifs, and like most movies have like character motifs, character themes, which is originated by the legendary John Williams for Star Trek,
Right.
or not Star Trek, Star Wars. I mean, yeah. But this kind of does it a little bit different. It uses the themes to evoke certain emotions. Ramin Djawadi did the same thing with Eternals. Instead of giving each character a theme, he gave each emotion a theme. So love has its own theme, anger has its own theme, gratitude, despair, they all have their own themes. And that's something that crap. I'm forgetting the composer's name.
Is it the Newton brothers?
The Newton brothers. Yeah, the Newton brothers. I was getting ready to say the Newman brothers, but it's the Newton brothers.
Newton brothers.
The Newton brothers. They do that same thing, and I think it's it really helps with storytelling. I think that's more effective actually than a character theme, is using the theme for a certain emotion,
right?
Because it keeps the feel and the tone consistent throughout. So
very cool, good choice.
Yeah,
I don't have much to say about that one. I've only watched. I still haven't finished that show, so I need.
Please,
to
for the love of God, finish the show. I want to talk about it with someone other than my wife.
I will. It's on my to-do list.
Don't get me wrong. I love talking to my wife about The Haunting of Hill House, but I need to talk about that show.
She's like, again, The Haunting of Hill House. So I don't have much to add. I do like the theme. I've seen a few episodes, and I do agree the music is very good, but I don't have much to add, unfortunately, to the conversation here about that choice. So
that's all right.
I did like the Newton Brothers score for Dr. Sleep. I thought that was really good. So
yes,
but not on my list. but a good score. All right, number 12 for me. I guess you could say this is a little bit of a cheat, but it's the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I guess. But if I had to choose one movie, it would be Fellowship of the Ring. But yeah, the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Howard Shore. That music is just incredible. It was nominated, I believe Howard Shore was nominated every year for
he had to have been.
Yeah.
He had to have been.
And I can't remember now. I should look it up real fast. I think he won for both Return of the King and Fellowship of the Ring. I think he won twice.
While you're checking, I'll add my little 2 cents. I've only seen those movies all the way through once.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a whole lot to say, but I do remember I don't remember a sound, but I remember a very distinct feeling of the score that played while Gandalf was riding in Return of the King. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and so I just looked it up. He did win. He won for Fellowship and then again for Return of the King. He also was a writer on the song for Return of the King, which won Best Original Song that Annie Lennox sang. Mm-hmm. So he's won 3 Oscars, and they were all for Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
Yeah, so excellent score. Amazing. I love the main theme. Bum, 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 bum. That whole thing, like, it's just so good. So yeah, and like, I guess even Zack Snyder thought it was pretty good because he used a track from Fellowship of the Ring for the teaser trailer for Man of Steel, if you recall that.
Yeah.
So yeah, excellent score and worthy of the Oscars.
Yeah, Zack Snyder also used music from Gladiator.
Oh, nice.
And I think the second trailer for Man of Steel. Number 12 for me. Again, this was hard. I wanted to have it higher up on the list.
Understand.
But my number 12 is going to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I don't listen to this very often because I don't know why I don't listen to it very often, actually. But whenever I listen to it, it's a vibe, man. Like this score. This might be a hot take, but objectively, I think this is John Williams' best score. I'm sorry, man. I know we got our Jurassic Parks, and that's on my list too. It's higher up, obviously, but like if we talking about just objectively, top to bottom, John Williams was all the way in his bag when he was elbow deep in his bag when he composed the score for the first Harry Potter film. It is fantastic. It always puts me in a Christmas mood. Like I want to decorate my house. It makes me want to go watch the movie.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't get into Harry Potter until I was an adult. But this is like this score is so magical. It's so magical. This is probably the most magical score I've ever listened to. It has that sense of wonder and childlike innocence and curiosity. I absolutely love it. I wish I could put it higher, but I got to keep it real. It's at number 12.
Yeah, I mean the score is phenomenal, and like you said, and John Williams is a master of just his music is forever associated with these characters,
with a feeling,
feeling, yeah. Because Harry Potter, we all, I love the books, but like when you hear that music, you instantly are taken back to to Hogwarts, and you instantly feel a certain way, and you just like you said, it's such a magical score. I had to make some tough choices, and so this is not on my list because I didn't want to load up my list with John Williams.
I understand.
But I can't deny that this is, and it was tough. It was a really hard choice cutting this out. But yeah, I mean, I would just be repeating everything you said because you said it pretty perfectly. It is a magical score. It's wonderful. And I am a little surprised that it is not higher on your list because I've heard you gush about this score before. Number 11 for me, I debated on whether there was a couple of different soundtracks that I wanted to put in this spot, and this is the one that I ultimately ended up choosing, which is Hans Zimmer's Inception.
Yo, we got the same number 11.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, there you go. I debated, I mean, they're all Christopher Nolan ones. I debated doing Interstellar and I debated doing Dunkirk, but I honestly listened to Inception more than those two, even though they're both also phenomenal scores. Inception there's a feeling to that one I get to when I listen to that music. It's just part of me, so this score is not on my list. It's not even an honorable mention, even though I love it. The Social Network won the Oscar for Best Original Score that year. Now that time has gone by, I think Hans Zimmer should have won it for Inception, personally.
Yeah.
Especially when you find out that that La Vie it's not La Vie en Rose, but that the song that is sung by that, I can't remember her name now, the French singer.
Yeah.
But when you find out that he slowed that down and that's how he got the bum 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 in the score, you're like, that is genius. Like it just
yeah, I mean, that the score is phenomenal. This and my number 10 are interchangeable. Both are Hans Zimmer scores, but we'll get to that when we get to number 10. But yeah, Inception is fantastic. My favorite thing about the score is, two of my favorite things. One is what you mentioned, the fact that he slowed that track down to get that bombastic sound, but also I really, really like the guitar that plays. It sounds so dreamlike, and I love yes I love when Hans Zimmer uses guitar in his scores. It is so it adds to the already atmospheric feel of his scores.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer's scores are all about immersion and like further taking you into the world of the movie. It's not just music to accompany what's happening on screen. It like
Right.
his music feels organic to its world. And I think that's what sets Hans Zimmer apart from other composers.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, we could easily done a top 10 Hans Zimmer scores. So
yeah.
It's tough. John Williams is probably my favorite just because he has so many iconic scores. And I'll be honest, if you look at my list, something that stands out to me is I clearly love scores that have big, memorable themes, you know? And that's something that a lot of modern day composers kind of aren't really doing. And I've heard on a podcast that I was listening to with a composer that is on my list that we'll get to, he apparently, he was talking about how, like, I guess these kind of younger directors come in and they don't like those big themes. Like, they don't want music like John Williams. They want stuff that
more subdued
that, and which is fine. Like, I forget what movie we were talking about the other day that we did an episode on, that I was saying, like, I didn't really notice the score, but it really did. Or like I couldn't like remember anything of the score, but it really served the movie, which is the purpose of a score. But at the same time, I think there's nothing wrong with having an awesome theme. I personally would prefer to have a John Williams-esque type of score, or Michael Giacchino kind of, movie score that has a big theme to it, personally.
Well, it also depends on the kind of movie it is, because John Williams, his most memorable scores are adventure movies and fantasy movies.
Right.
That's true. So I don't know if a John Williams score would fit for something like I don't know, like what's popular now, A24, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, true. Like that's a bigger movie for A24, but it's not John Williams big. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. So maybe the types of movies that I also just really like are just movies that kind of, not that I don't like A24 movies, but Anyway, what I was going to say is it would be hard for me to choose a number 2, whether that would be Hans. It's probably Hans Zimmer. It's most likely Hans Zimmer, but also Danny Elfman. There's just a lot. There's a lot of good composers out there, but Hans Zimmer is probably the second.
My number 2 is probably Alan Silvestri.
Yeah. He's on my list too. So
yeah, as he is mine.
All right. Well, number 11 for both of us was Inception. I should write that down. My number 10 might surprise you, but I love it. It's iconic, and it is, aside from the main theme, I guess it is kind of, it's somewhat of a simple score, but it is so good and it works so well in the movie that it is one of my favorites, and that is Halloween by John Carpenter.
Nice.
The Halloween theme, like I said, is iconic. It makes me think of Halloween. And then the rest of the score, like I said, is so simple. I think a lot of times it's just dun, 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 dun. But it works just so well, and I love listening to it, and I love hearing the different variations of that main theme too with the other movies in the franchise. But the original, I think, with John Carpenter's music is my favorite, and and I think it like how you always say, like, Harry Potter music makes you think of Christmas. This obviously makes me always I play this music at Halloween time. That's when I listen to it the most, and it just kind of puts me in that fall Halloween mood. So I love it.
Yeah. I actually really like listening to John Carpenter's music.
Yeah.
He has like a lot of music out and it's really good. Yeah. He's more of the like the synth wave type type music, but I like it, man. It's nostalgic, and it definitely puts me in a fall mood.
Yeah, I debated I didn't even put it in my honorable mentions, so I can kind of mention it now, but like Escape from New York / Escape from LA, John Carpenter did the music for those, and I love those scores too. They're so cool.
Yeah.
Escape from New York is more that 80s kind of synthesizer, type music, which is cool, and I think it really works. And then Escape from LA is a little bit more updated / 90s. It's more of got kind of like a rock kind of element to it, and Shirley Walker helped with that score, and so those are both cool scores. They're fun. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's my number 10, Halloween.
All right, my number 10 is another Hans Zimmer film, and that is Interstellar.
Nice.
This movie is one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made. I know a lot of people prefer Inception over Interstellar, and I think there's a reason for that. Not because one is better than the other, but I think because Inception is a little bit more accessible. It's more blockbustery. So I could see why the masses would prefer Inception over Interstellar, but Interstellar has a little bit more meat to it, a little bit more substance to it, in my opinion, because it's not just about the sciencey stuff. It's about love and family, and the score for that is phenomenal. Like the cornfield chase is viral. Like it's viral.
Yeah.
But I could listen to I could listen to this score all day. I love how it starts out with just the wind blowing, and you just hear you literally hear the dust in the wind. And it's at times it can be very heavy and bombastic, but it's mostly a softer score, and I love it. Like Hans Zimmer came up with the score before Christopher Nolan even filmed the movie. And it's just it's so beautiful. I love the track Stay. It's sad, but it's beautiful at the same time. Obviously, like I said, Cornfield Chase, and I love the track. I forget the name of the track, but they're on the water planet where they think that they're mountains, but they're actually waves. The tide is coming in. And I love that he included the sound of a ticking clock, and it's getting faster and faster as the track goes along. I think like Hans Zimmer he's so intricate and adds these things to the score that you wouldn't think of. He's all about immersion. I know I'm repeating myself, but he's all about helping progress the story along. It's I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, and I didn't never notice the ticking clock in Interstellar, but that's a big part of his Dunkirk theme or Dunkirk score is that ticking clock. He has that in a lot of the tracks for Dunkirk, and that's one of the things my wife loves about that score is that ticking clock and the feeling of like kind of, it makes you kind of feel like impending
you're
doom
on edge.
Kind of exactly.
Next time you watch that movie, pay attention to the tick. It progressively gets faster, and by the end of the track, it's like tick 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 tick.
Nice. I should listen to that whole score again. There's actually an expanded version of the Interstellar score.
I need it.
I do too, but I never want to drop. I can't remember how much it is on iTunes. It's like, I can't remember if it's 15 or 16 or 17, but I need it. Yeah, I agree. Excellent choice, Hans Zimmer. Interstellar.
Thank you.
Number 9 for me.
Number 9.
You may not agree with this one.
Probably not.
But it's my list, so I don't care. I love this score, especially the main theme, and that is Top Gun. Harold Faltermeyer, 1986, I think it is, 85, 86. It's got an incredible main theme. You're talking about Hans Zimmer and the guitar. Harold Faltermeyer and the guitar in this song. It's so good. It's also kind of 80s. There's a little bit of kind of electronic music feel to it.
Yeah.
But I think it works so well, and I think it is fantastic. And I thought about making this a Top Gun / Top Gun Maverick, because the score for Top Gun Maverick is also really good.
Yes.
And that one is
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer. Harold Faltermeyer is credited. I don't think he really had a hand in the new score other than they just used his theme. So I think that's part of the reason they credited him.
Kind of like John Williams in the Harry Potter movies. Like they credit him for the original theme, but other composers have come in and done those other 5 or 6 movies.
Yeah, but on the cover of Top Gun Maverick, it says music by Harold Faltermeyer, Lorne Balfe, Lady Gaga, and Hans Zimmer. So, I assume they all had a hand in the score, which is kind of cool.
Yo, Lorne Balfe is moving up there, man.
He is, and
I'm really happy for him.
I am too. I don't have any of his movies in my top 15, but yeah, he is one of my current favorite composers. He actually on my, how Spotify always does a like end of the year whatever. My top artist was Lorne Balfe.
Yeah, mine was Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me, you're going to be very surprised that this isn't higher on the list.
Okay.
But again, I don't listen to it quite as often as the others. I listen to it more than number 8, but you know what? I'm actually going to switch it.
Switch them?
I'm going to move number 9 and number 8, and number 8 is now number 9.
This is a difficult list, man. It's constantly changing.
It's hard. I've changed my list 3 times since we started recording. Okay, so my new number 9.
All right.
Is Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Fantastic. The reason I have Spider-Man 2 and not Spider-Man is because I really think he nailed home the emotion for Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is I don't want to say a darker movie because it's not really dark, but it's what's the word that I'm looking for? It's a more introspective film than the first one.
Yeah.
And you can feel that through the music, especially with scenes with Doc Ock and he's talking to his arms. I love it. And that main Spider-Man theme when the for the opening credits is
Chef's kiss.
Incredible.
Yeah, this is one that I really debated having on the list. It didn't make the cut, but if we had been doing a top 10 superhero movie scores, this would have easily been on there. At least I don't know if it would have been Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2. I think I agree with you. I think I do kind of actually like the score for Spider-Man 2 more than Spider-Man 1.
Mm-hmm.
And probably for those very reasons that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot deny that main Spider-Man theme is now iconic. It's just so
iconic. It's one of the greatest superhero themes ever. I mean, it's top 3, honestly.
That's you know what? We may have to end up. We'd repeat ourselves a little bit, I suppose. But I was going to say we might end up having to do a top 10 superhero movie scores because maybe
it's top 4 because I'm thinking because there's another movie that I'm thinking of that's not on the list, but because I'm thinking Avengers might be better than that one. But I don't know. Those might be interchangeable.
They could, yeah. I
know it's not top 2. I know for a fact it's not top 2.
Right. I personally, and this could, this is something like we just talked about how this list is changing constantly as we speak. My opinion on this might change too, but as of right now, I'd probably put Danny Elfman's Spider-Man above Alan Silvestri's The Avengers. But I don't know, man, that Avengers theme, especially when you hear it in Endgame and stuff. Or even in Infinity War when Thor shows up and it's just
so like there are 2 moments in Infinity War where you hear because you hear the first part of the main theme in one part, and then you hear the
Right.
the latter part of the main theme in another part of the movie. When Captain America shows up, because we're almost an hour into the movie
Right.
before they show up. And when you finally hear that main theme, it is so satisfying. And I'm so glad they gave that music to Cap.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and then again, like you mentioned, when Thor shows up, that's just an awesome scene all the way around.
Yeah. So I don't know, that's a tough decision. I don't know which one would be higher. It's really good.
But if I had to pick like track specific,
yeah,
Avengers Endgame, main on end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, would be over Spider-Man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So like when they're showing all the all the characters, like for the credits, I love the progression that Alan Silvestri does for that. But when it builds up to the original 6, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And I know Portals sounds similar, but Portals is it's good, but it's too fast. With main on end, Alan Silvestri lets it marinate, and I like that.
Nice. All right, we got to move on because we're gonna have a really long episode on our hands. We got 8 movies left still.
All right.
So number 8 for me, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this composer's name right. I've always in my head pronounced it Brad Fidel, but I don't know if that's accurate. But it is Terminator 2: Judgment Day. The Terminator theme for this is what you think of when you think of Terminator. The dun 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 dun. But it's the same theme from the first Terminator film, but the first Terminator, it has kind of that 80s synthesizer kind of. I love it, but it's but when I think of Terminator, I think of the music from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And not just the theme. I mean, the music is good throughout the entire movie. There's these metallic sounding kind of like high pitched noises that he kind of does throughout the score that works so well in terms of either the T-1000 or the Terminator. It's just like it's a really, really good score.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't really listened to that score for real, other than like watching the movie. So I don't really have too much to say about it, but I do agree that it's really good. Number 8. Okay, this is the movie that I was gonna say for my number 9, but I switched it. Batman, 1989, another Danny Elfman classic.
Nice.
Fantastic score. As far as main themes go, it is top 2, and it's not 2.
Top 2 and it's not 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Top 2 and it's not 2.
I mean, again, it's kind of like what I was just saying about Terminator. When you think of Batman, personally, I think of this music. It is. It doesn't hurt that they used a kind of a variation of the theme for Batman the Animated Series. Danny Elfman, of course, did the opening credits music for that show, and yeah, it's just it has become synonymous with Batman. It's when there's a book that I read my son at night sometimes called Bedtime for Batman. And when I get to the part of the book where Batman is in costume, like ready to fight crime, I can't help but go, bum, 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 bum. And now my son does it with me, like when we read the book. So it's just, it's incredible. And it takes me back to being a kid. It gives me chills. There are so many good tracks on that soundtrack. One of my favorites is called Descent into Mystery, which is when he has got Vicky Vale in the Batmobile. He's just rescued her from the Joker, and they're headed back to the Batcave. And she's like it's that scene where she's kind of trying to look at him and he turns the light in her eyes. That music is just perfect. I love that music.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say about that?
What more can you say? It's iconic. Yeah.
I will add this, which is kind of, I mean, it's related, but it's not this particular movie. The main theme for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin is severely underrated. and it's because people are not fond of those movies. Personally, I think Batman Forever is a good movie. I view it as like an Adam West type Batman.
Right. Which is, I think, what he was going for. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of, obviously you can view Batman and Robin as that as well, but Batman and Robin is just all around not a good movie.
Right.
I understand, the tonal shift is jarring, and because that's kind of how I feel about movies right now. I feel like they're making a lot of movies for like 7-year-olds,
right?
which is fine, but it's for me it's drop shock, and I feel like that was the same, back in 95 when Batman Forever came out. But that the music for the main theme for those movies is great.
Yeah. I agree.
No matter how you feel about the movie, but that main theme is fantastic.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have the scores for both of those movies on my phone, and and I don't listen to them as much as I do the Danny Elfman scores, but they are good. There's Elliot Goldenthal did a good job with those scores.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I like Batman Forever. I don't watch it as much as the Keaton movies, but if I had been 40 years old when Batman Forever came out, I might not have liked it because of the tonal shift like you were talking about. But as a 12-year-old when it came out, I loved Batman Forever.
Loved Batman Forever. When it finally came on network TV on NBC at Sunday night at 7:00, I was so happy.
Yeah, we bought that one on VHS, and I'm surprised I didn't wear it out because I loved that movie. I thought, I liked, even as a kid, I knew I liked the Keaton one better, but I really just I really liked Val Kilmer. I enjoyed seeing Robin.
It's a fun movie.
It's a very fun movie.
Yeah.
And I just I of course loved Jim Carrey when I was that. Yeah. I still love Jim Carrey, but I loved him at that age especially. And then Two-Face.
Intruder alert!
Right. And Two-Face has always been one of my favorite Batman villains, and so getting to see him in live action for the first time was just, I loved it, even though he's really more of a Joker in that movie than a Two-Face, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fun. Number 7 for me. One of my favorite movies of all time. Most of these movies are my favorite movies of all time, but it is Back to the Future. Alan Silvestri. I love this trilogy. I thought about it, Back to the Future 1 and 2 pretty much have a lot of the same music. I don't actually have the score for 2, so I can't have the score for 2. I can't say for certain that they're I don't know if he introduced some new themes for like the alternate 85 or anything like that. But I also love the score for Back to the Future Part 3, where he adds the kind of the Western music. ZZ Top had a little bit of a cameo in that movie and stuff. But the first movie, the music is just, it's perfect. It's, I for a long time as a kid thought it was John Williams. It just had that kind of John Williams magic to it.
Yeah.
I really don't know what else to say about it other than I just think it's perfect for the film, and it's a perfect score.
Yeah. This is my favorite score from Alan Silvestri. That's actually on my list, but it's a little higher.
Yeah.
I struggle with it because I think this score is better than 2, but the best version of the main theme is the opening to Back to the Future 2.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I love it. I love it. Like when they're going through the clouds, like, my God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I love that version of the theme. It's so good. Like when I think of the theme, that I think of the opening to Back to the Future Part 2.
Nice.
And for a long time, I thoroughly enjoyed Back to the Future Part 2 more than the first one. But that has now since changed. Back to the Future.
Right.
The first one is a perfect movie. It's probably the only perfect movie to exist. maybe the Matrix is in there.
Right.
But yeah, it's that score is phenomenal.
Number 7 for you.
Number 7 for me. This is a more recent one. It's one that I listen to a lot, and I know that Yeah, I know people like this guy, but I don't think people like this guy as much as I like this guy, and that's Ludwig Göransson's Tenet. Tenet is so good. Every single track. He does use the main theme, like that, like he uses that in maybe 4 or 5 tracks, but there are tracks with very specific melodies that sound so good. My favorite track, other than the main track, which is the one with Travis Scott, The Plan, my favorite track is Posterity. I love Posterity. It starts out with the I don't know if it's a piano or a harp, but it starts out like oh my god, and then when the beat drops on that, oh my god, I listen to it in my car, it shakes my car. It's like it's so good. Man, I listen to that quite a bit, probably two or three times a week. I listen to it. I just think Ludwig Göransson he's my favorite current composer. Michael Giacchino is a close second, but I love what he's doing. He's also very atmospheric, and his movies are not his movies, but his music feels organic to the world. This is actually one of my honorable mentions, but the Black Panther movies. Mm-hmm. I wanted to include those in my top 10, but I was like, I can't. These other scores are better, but those Black Panther movies are phenomenal. Due large in part to the music. The music is fantastic. Like my love for the first movie went up when I went to go see the score in concert a few months ago. It was incredible. If you haven't done so, please, if the orchestra, if your local orchestra is doing it, if they come in town or whatever, go see a film in concert. It is one of the greatest experiences you will ever have. Do that. Please do that.
I don't have much to add. I remember really liking the music for Tenet, and but I haven't really listened to the score that much. So, but it sounds like that needs to change.
Please re-listen.
Yeah, I will. But what you just said about seeing a score live, I really wanted to see this one live, which is my number 6, and I didn't get a chance to. Didn't have the money to buy tickets, and that is Batman, Danny Elfman. That's my number 6. We've already talked about it, so we don't really have to talk about it too much more, other than it is, it's Batman. It's Danny Elfman's Batman is Batman. So
top 2, and it's not 2.
Right. It's I debated kind of doing Batman / Batman Returns for this, because I love the scores to both of those movies a lot. The opening credits for Batman Returns, the whole birth of the Penguin, that going into the sewer tunnels and stuff. I love it. It's fantastic.
We've talked about it a little bit before, but it's good because it's Batman and it's Christmas. Right. So like Batman and Christmas. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I had already cheated by putting a TV show on here, but I wanted to put a video game on here because I thought of Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic score for a video game.
Yeah, I agree. So we can move along. So that was my number 6, Batman, Danny Elfman.
All right, my number 6, Back to the Future. We've already talked about that. Wonderful, wonderful score. Alan Silvestri is one of my favorite composers, so we don't have to talk about that anymore.
Okay, moving right along, and this one is also a little bit of a repeat, so we don't have to talk about it too much either. My number 5, The Dark Knight. Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard.
Nice.
Fantastic. I suppose if I had to pick a favorite track from this, it's tough. So I have 2 albums for Dark Knight on my phone. One is the physical CD release that they released, and then the other one was a bonus digital release that they did, which has, because on the main soundtrack, the first track is called Why So Serious, and it's kind of the Bank prologue, but it's like a 9-minute long track. Mm-hmm. On the bonus version, the first track is called Bank Robbery or Prologue Bank Robbery, and it's the 6-minute, it's like the music from the movie, which I love. I love listening to that track. But Like a Dog Chasing Cars and I'm Not a Hero are probably my 2 favorite from the main.
I Am Not a Hero. That's it right there.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
Love that music. If I can add that to the YouTube playlist, I will, because that is so good.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. My number 5, Jurassic Park.
Nice.
One of the greatest movies ever made. That main theme. Is that there's actually like 2 main themes for Jurassic Park. There's the main, like the right, and then there's what scene is it? I'm trying to think of what scene that music plays in.
Are you talking about the one that goes?
It's like it's at the end of the movie, pretty much.
That whole thing.
yeah, that is fantastic. And they tried to incorporate it in a trailer for, I want to say, Dominion, like that.
Right.
Like the
they did.
They tried to make it scary and it didn't work. I distinctly remember watching the trailer and hearing that. I was like, I don't like that.
Right.
I was like, don't do that to John Williams' music. It's a fantastic score. It's one of the greatest of all time, subjectively and objectively. It's you hear that music, you instantly think dinosaurs. Instantly.
Yeah. It's amazing. John Williams was also in his bag, I believe, for that movie as well.
Oh yeah. Elbow deep.
Number 4 for me is Psycho. Bernard Herrmann. 1960s Psycho.
Oh man, that's it right there, man.
I love that music. The whole like all the music from the movie is phenomenal. But I mean, you cannot deny that the murder music, that it's just that has become so iconic, synonymous with murder, basically. I think that score is hands down one of the greatest scores of all time.
Yeah, the first time I heard that score was actually not the movie. It was a Busta Rhymes sample.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, I like this. And then when I finally saw Psycho, I was like, that's where he got that from. I was like, man, this is fantastic. So yeah, that's a great choice. That's a great choice.
Thank you.
Number 4 for me is the greatest movie ever made, The Matrix. I love this movie. Obviously, I love this score. I love this score so much that the opening credits is my alarm for when I wake up in the morning.
Nice. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Because when I was setting my alarm, I was like, I need something that is loud, but that isn't going to make me angry.
Right.
And isn't going to get old, because I had it set for the Batman theme, specifically the Samuel Kim, the one that blends all 3 Batman themes together.
Right.
I had it set for that, but that got old after a while. I was like, I got to change it up. Yeah. So then I made it The Matrix, and I love waking up to that music.
That's cool. That's good.
I love it.
I don't have any movie scores as my alarm clock, but I do have, whenever I have to set a timer for something, like if I'm cooking, my time, when my timer goes off, it's The Dark Knight. It's dun dun dun. It's like that whole
It did, like the Matrix. Every single time I watch this movie and I hear that music on that green Warner Brothers logo, I get chills. I like the hair stands up on the back of my neck. Like oh man, like just thinking about it is whew.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean, I it's true when you just saying the Warner Brothers logo made me think of it, and hearing that, it's like those horns kind of. It's really good. All right, number 3 for me is a little bit of a cheat.
That's all right. We've been cheating all night.
That's right. It is a movie, but it's kind of 2 movies.
Okay.
And so number 3 for me is Superman the movie / Superman Returns.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
agree.
have Superman Returns without Superman the movie.
Yeah.
And John Williams' score, Superman, it's you were saying Batman is top 2 and it's not 2. For me, Superman is top 2 and it's not 2. It's Superman, the score is iconic. It's Superman. It's so much Superman that they keep using it for Henry Cavill, or they did. He's not Superman anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume we're not going to get it with with the James Gunn Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they kept pushing it for Henry Cavill. But if I'm being honest, I tend to listen to the score for Superman Returns more than Superman the movie.
John Ottman, yeah.
John Ottman. And I think John Ottman did such a good job in using John Williams' themes throughout that movie. But a lot of the original stuff that John Ottman did for Superman Returns, I think is just so good and works so well. And I can listen to that score.
When I think of the Superman theme, I know it's John Williams, obviously, but when I think of the Superman theme, I think of the opening credits for Superman Returns.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, you can't have Superman Returns without Superman the movie. And I do love the score for Superman the movie, but I don't tend to listen to that score all the way through like I do Superman Returns, really.
Yeah. I can see that. We're at number 3. Number 3. Now, 3 to 1, interchangeable. But it is what it is right now, because number 1 I actually listened to this morning. But for right now, number 3 is 2021's Dune, another Hans Zimmer classic. I think this.
I wondered if this was going to be on your list. Yep.
Did you have to wonder?
No, I mean I assume.
I love this score. Again, I'd be repeating myself. It's it's just so immersive, and again, he makes these scores that feel so organic. The sounds come from that world. I know he specifically wanted to do that for Dune. He wanted to have organic sounds that sound like they come from the planet Arrakis and Caladan and Jedi Prime. He didn't want them to sound earthly. He wanted them to sound familiar, but unique to its world. And I think he did a fantastic job. This score, as our friend Tyler would say, makes me want to run laps.
I can understand that.
When my favorite track, I have 2. There's the track that plays at the very end of the movie. But my absolute favorite is Leaving Caladan.
Yeah, that's such a good track.
Love Leaving Caladan.
Yeah. I had forgotten, I hadn't listened to the score for a little while before we decided to talk about that movie. Mm-hmm. And watching it during that scene where they're leaving Caladan, I was like, good God, this music is good.
It's fantastic.
So all right. Number 2 for me. I don't know if I've gushed about this score so much on the podcast, but it is hands down one of my all-time favorite. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it is one of my all-time favorite scores. And that is 1994's Speed. Mark, man, I always used to think his name was Mancina, but there is a Speed podcast I've been listening to, and apparently it is pronounced Mancina. But that music, this is the album that is not on Spotify, so that was the reason I was like, can't do a Spotify playlist. My number 2 is not on there. But I'm pretty sure I can find a track of it on YouTube. It is such a good score. It complements the movie so well. It's got amazing themes. Mark Mancina, this was his first movie where he scored. He was a protege of Hans Zimmer.
Mhm.
And he had worked with Hans Zimmer, and so he contributed music to other movies, but this was the first one where he got like music by credit.
Mhm.
And after this movie, everybody wanted to work with Mark Mancina. He did the music for Bad Boys. Dun 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 dun. He did that. So he's great. He kind of got out of doing the action movies. He kind of got turned off because I don't know if it was Michael Bay that did it or who, but he kind of realized that like his music was getting drowned out by a lot of the sound effects and the action kind of stuff. And he was like, well, why am I writing all this music if you guys can't even hear it? And so if you look him up now, he does a lot of Disney movies now. Like a lot of his music is in the, he did like the music for the score, I guess, for like Moana and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's done a lot of that now. He doesn't do the big action movies, which is kind of a shame because I really love his action movie scores, especially this one. This movie and this score, I can listen to beginning to end any day of the week and on repeat.
I honestly can't remember any of the music from Speed because I haven't watched that movie that many times.
Right.
I mean, I remember it from when I was a little kid, but like as an adult, I've watched that movie twice.
Right. That needs to change.
Yeah, it's been 3 years since I watched that movie last. Okay. Whenever the 4K came out, that was when I watched it last. So yeah, my number 2, I in the last 2 years, this is neck and neck with my number 1 as far as like the most listened to score.
Right.
And that is Zack Snyder's Justice League by Tom Hogenberg. Zack Snyder's Justice League, the music for this is it makes my brain explode and ooze out of my ears, dripping onto the floor. It is 4.5 hours of pure high superhero fantasy, and I love every nanosecond of it. I love it. I absolutely adore it. This is easily Tom Hogenberg's best score without question.
I would agree with that.
His themes for every character are phenomenal, especially Batman. I love his Batman theme. He did a full version of the Batman theme that is not included in the movie. There's a very small snippet of it after he gets off the plane from failing to recruit Aquaman. Mm-hmm. You can hear it. You can hear a little bit of it in the background, and it's basically the opening music just faster, but it has that same melody. But on the digital version, you hear the whole thing. Bruh, don't listen. I can't listen to it on the highway because I will speed. I think I will believe that I am in the Batmobile when I listen to that score. But it's just this and The Matrix, 2 scores. As soon as the first note hits, goosebumps.
Yeah,
I love it. Like this score is big. It's haunting. It is bombastic. It's emotional. I have too many favorite tracks. I love the opening. Yeah. I love Batman's full theme. I think the name of the track is Batman Invocation to something.
Right.
I forgot the full name.
I can't look it up. I don't have my phone as a camera, so I can't look it up.
I love Wonder Woman defending, although I do prefer Wonder Woman's theme from BVS, the original. But I do love Wonder Woman defending. I love At the Speed of Force. I think everybody loves At the Speed of Force.
That's my favorite track. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody loves At the Speed of Force. But
my top 2 favorite tracks on that album are that one and Superman Rising 2, which is where Superman's beating the snot out of Steppenwolf. Yeah. where he reuses the flight theme. Yeah, it's so good. I was so happy when that album got released and it was 4 or 4.5 hours long or whatever it is. Like, I was like, because too often you get a score and it's only, well, they don't do this quite so much anymore, but it used to be like when CDs were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack or the score would come out and it would only be like 10 or 15 tracks and it would only be like 45 minutes worth of music. And you're like, where's the music from this scene? Where's the music from this scene?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they released the entire movie's worth of music,
some.
Yeah.
Cyborg Becoming.
Oh, yeah.
That is some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard in my life. There are specific parts in that track that, like, I can feel the tears well up. The first one is at the football game when he's going for the touchdown, and Zack Snyder is all the way in his cinematography bag.
Right.
It's just the music that plays when he throws his hands up in celebration of that touchdown. Right. Oh my God. It is so good. You really you feel like you're at that football game. Mm-hmm. It's like oh man. And then when he's finally learning how to use his body, but specifically when he flies for the first time, that makes tears well up. It's just it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful piece of music, man. and I love at the end, this is for all my music nerds, but at the end when it's doing that crescendo, that build up, the strings are alternating melodies. You gotta listen real closely, but like it inverts. So
interesting.
The deep strings, so like the cellos and the basses, they'll play one melody, the violas will play one melody, and the violins will play a melody. And then at the next section of the song, they'll invert. So the violins will play what the cellos were playing. The cellos will play what the violas were playing, and the violas will play what the violins were playing. And then it'll invert again. So now the violas are playing what the cellos were playing, and it's fantastic, but you got to listen real close.
Yeah,
interesting. It's so good. It's so good.
That's super cool. All right. Before we get on to our number one pick, we got to talk about some honorable mentions. And number one, there's way too many honorable mentions to name. So we had even doing honorable mentions was tough, paring it down.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 honorable mentions.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the same here for me. And that's not even including everything I could include. I mean, I started to write a top 10 John Williams list just for fun. And so Harry Potter, Home Alone, Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., all those movies, all those scores are phenomenal. But of course, the big elephant in the room, it's not on either of our lists so far anyway. And it's not on my list, so I can't speak for you, but that's the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, I figured, yeah.
You can't deny that those scores are incredible. I just personally don't listen to them that much. I like the Imperial March. I can listen to that. I love the Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace. But beginning to end, I don't really listen to those scores that much. And so that's why they didn't really make it onto my list.
Same.
I've got, so Star Trek 2009 was originally an honorable mention, and I decided to swap it with my original number 13. So now this is an honorable mention, and that is Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and that music is the main title music from that movie is what became the Star Trek Next Generation theme, which I love. But as we were talking, I was like, you know what? I don't really listen to that score all the way through as much as I listened to the 2009 Michael Giacchino. So I decided to swap it. Requiem for a Dream, Clint Mansell. You were talking about the Psycho score and Busta Rhymes. Mm-hmm. There was a movie trailer version of the Requiem for a Dream theme that they used, I think, in the Two Towers trailer for Lord of the Rings, and it was this big bum bum da 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 dun da da da. And for the longest, I had seen Requiem, but I had kind of forgotten what the music was, and for the longest time I could never figure out what that music was from. Decided to rewatch Requiem. This was like 20 years ago, but decided to rewatch Requiem and the opening titles of that movie, and I went, that's the music.
There it
is. So that movie, or that music, is phenomenal. Warcraft, Ramin Djawadi. I think that score is super underrated.
I've never seen it
from that movie. We should talk about that movie. I think you might. I think you'd like it. I don't know, but the Transformers score, Steve Jablonsky. You talking about making you want to run laps? I used to work out to the Transformers theme. I love that score. The Matrix is on my list. True Romance, Hans Zimmer, and then pretty much the entire Mission Impossible franchise. I love the score pretty much for every movie, even Mission Impossible 2, which was Hans Zimmer. That is just like the movie. Is probably my least favorite out of all the scores, but I still listen to it. Danny Elfman did a fantastic job with the first movie. Lorne Balfe has killed it with the last two movies. Those scores are just great. I love listening to them.
Yeah, you got me thinking now. I got more honorable mentions now.
Okay.
Because I got, obviously, Transformers, fantastic. I have The Mummy. I love the score for The Mummy. Jerry Goldsmith did a fantastic job with that score.
Yeah. Jerry Goldsmith is who did Star Trek the Motion Picture too, by the way.
Nice. Yeah. This one will catch you by surprise. The Book of Eli. I very much like the Book of Eli by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
I didn't know they did the music to that. That's cool.
Yes. The two main themes in that are beautiful. Dark Knight Rises. I really wanted to put this in my top 15.
Yeah.
But I know this. I know we said this is subjective, but I wanted to be kind of objective with that and put The Dark Knight over The Dark Knight Rises, because that's where some of these themes originated, was in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So I had to put that one. Yeah. Beetlejuice, 1988's Beetlejuice, another Danny Elfman classic. Both Black Panther movies. I go back and forth about which one I like more. As of right now, as of today, it is the first one. But in the next 20 minutes, that could change to Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Because Wakanda Forever has
some really good music. Yeah.
In my opinion, it is one of the most underrated superhero scores. Yeah. I love Shuri's Black Panther theme. That, oh my God. Woo! It's so good. So good. Star Trek 2009. Yeah. We gushed about that. And Wonder Woman 2017. Specifically, Action Reaction.
Yeah, that song's awesome.
Man. Rupert, who did this? Rupert
Gregson Williams. Yeah.
Rupert Gregson Williams.
Yeah.
Did not have to go that hard for that track, but he did just for me.
Right.
And I am eternally grateful to Mr. Gregson Williams for doing that for me. Thank you, sir.
That is a good choice. That's a good choice.
I love when it gets to the end of the movie and it plays. He has a beautiful piece for the epilogue of that movie, and then it goes right into the main Wonder Woman theme when the logo shows up, and then right after that, action reaction start. Oh my god! That with the credits, like the those beautiful credits with the silhouette and the orange and yellow. Oh my god! Ah, so good. And also, Batman vs Superman. I didn't talk about it earlier because I that was the one that I was thinking about when I said it's kind of a downer.
Oh yeah.
The music is fantastic, but I can't. That's also one that I have to forget about for a while before I go back and listen to it, because it's kind of like a daunting.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I'm in the mood to watch it, I'm like, this is the greatest. Or the mood to listen to it, like this is the greatest music ever made. Right. But I love.
You're not always in the mood to listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not always in the mood to listen to that. Whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League, I could turn it on right now.
Right.
But that the Wonder Woman's theme is one of the best superhero themes ever.
I failed to mention that one when I brought up the album earlier, but yeah, that is definitely one of the other themes that Hans Zimmer came up with on that score. That is just incredible.
I love the Day of the Dead scene. That scene has great music. I like it. Did that accompanied with the montage. And, I love that music. I love This Is My World.
Yeah.
When, Superman is sacrificing himself. What is the name of the track? It's during the warehouse fight. I can't remember the name of that track.
There's a couple of tracks on there. Is that
Fight
Tuesday?
Night?
Oh, it might be Fight Night.
Yeah, I think it's Fight Night. Yeah. Fight Night is fantastic. I love it. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Nice. Marvel's The Avengers is probably another honorable mention for me. I think we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
How much we love Alan Silvestri's Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
How can I forget about the Iron Man 3 is fantastic. It like as far as the individual scores like that are not Avengers movies, it's between that and Winter Soldier that I love those scores.
Yeah, I don't know what I would pick. Winter Soldier's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Out of
But that theme for Iron Man is so good. Oh,
and I love
it's so good.
The like 60s-esque kind of pop version of it during the end credits, Yeah. When
I listened to it for the first time, like listen to it intently, I was like, obviously this is awesome. But when I went back and watched Avengers Age of Ultron and I heard the theme playing in the background when he suited up in the Hulkbuster suit, I was like, that was so satisfying to hear.
That's awesome. All right, well, now is the big moment. We're almost 2 hours into this recording. The number one movie, I think if you know me, it's no surprise what my number one is. And that is John Williams' Jurassic Park. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Yeah. Jurassic Park is my favorite score of all time.
Hold on, wait. I just realized that you didn't. That there was one score that you didn't mention at all.
Not even in my honorable mentions. Which is
I don't think it. I am so surprised that you didn't mention this at all.
Did I just forget about this movie? What is it?
I think you forgot about the maybe you did mention it in your honorable mentions, but it's baffling me that you.
Do we have to start over? Do I need to do a whole new list?
My bad. Continue. But I was just that was
but I'm very curious what it is.
Well, it's my number one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then yeah. Well, I just looked over your list and I was like, what is his number one? And I'm sure it'll be obvious once you say it, but I can't think of it. So it's interesting. I may have just completely forgotten about this movie that you were about to mention, and I'm going to kick myself for it, but I don't know. But yeah, anyway, Jurassic Park, we've talked about it already a little bit. It's my all-time favorite score. I think John Williams' themes are incredible. I love even the like the beginning of the movie where the guy's getting killed by the raptor. I think the music in that is amazing.
Yeah.
I love the soft moments in the movie. I love the action moments of the movie. I when I got married, the wedding party entered and walked down the aisle to the Jurassic Park.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my wife was cool with it, and so like the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, they all walked into the Jurassic Park theme, and then once everybody was in, my wife walked into a theme from Love Actually. So we had both movie themes for our kind of our wedding music. So, but yeah, Jurassic Park.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite, they changed it in California. I don't think they've changed it in Orlando yet, but Jurassic Park, the ride, while you're standing in line, just going into that part of the park and hearing the Jurassic Park music, I'm like just a happy kid. That music will never get old to me. I love it. It's amazing. That's all I can say about it.
Well, here we are. Number one. This needs no introduction. Man of Steel.
I did not forget about this movie, actually. We've talked about Batman vs Superman, and I mentioned him using some of the themes from Man of Steel, but also in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Superman Rising Part 2 using the flight music. It is a phenomenal score. I do listen to this score quite a bit. I personally still like Batman vs Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League more than this one.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. This score, in my opinion, is the most re-listenable score of all time. I can listen to this at any time, and it's like I'm hearing it for the first time. I love this score. It is so good. No disrespect to John Williams, the legend himself, but Hans Zimmer's Superman theme, when it gets to what are you going to do when you're not saving the world? Chef's kiss. That is some high quality H2O right there, man.
Yes, I absolutely. Actually, I was going to say my biggest complaint with Zack Snyder's trilogy, the Superman Justice League trilogy, whatever you want to call it, is that they don't use that music again. Like that what are you going to do when you're not saving the world? That end credits music from Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really use that music again. And I understand Batman vs Superman is a darker film, and that's kind of a bright song.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish they had used it in Zack Snyder's Justice League or something. Like that song is so good. I think it's criminal that it's not really used again in those movies.
I thought about that too, and I was listening to it, and I was like, man, this is the only time we hear this.
Yeah.
And I thought about Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know where I would have put it that it would have made sense, because I wouldn't have I wouldn't have taken out Flight 2.0 for that, and I wouldn't have taken out Superman Rising Part 2 for that. So I have no idea where it could have gone.
I think honestly the best place to use it would have been the end credits again.
Yeah.
Just kind of use it at the end again, right when Superman does the shirt rip and go into the end credits with that music. But
yeah,
that'd probably be the best place to use it, because like I said, I understand why they didn't use it, because tonally it's different than those movies.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it is that's my favorite track on that soundtrack. Is what are you going to do when you're not saving the world? And I could listen to that song on repeat all day long, and I really wish we had gotten more of it. I wish I had heard it in the future installments, but what can you do?
Yeah. There are three tracks. Three tracks that I love on that soundtrack. Obviously, what are you gonna do when you're not saving the world? I have the deluxe version. So
me too.
General Zod. Mm-hmm. I love General Zod. And Launch. I love Launch. That music sounds very similar to the end credits music that plays at the end of BVS. And I made a playlist, and I put that in the place of where that would have been in the movie for that playlist, because it is so good. That It's so good. Like that launch is perfect in credits music. It's perfect.
Yeah. That's another thing that drives me crazy about that album. BVS did the same thing. They're not in film order.
Yep.
Especially that album.
It bothers me.
Yeah. BVS is a little bit more in film order, but
yeah,
I had to make a playlist on my phone too, putting them in film order because it drives me crazy.
Yeah. But
I mean, this should have been at least an honorable mention for me, and probably even in my top 15. I just didn't want my list to be too Hans Zimmer heavy. But
as you see, I did not care about my list being
right,
too
yeah.
Hans Zimmer heavy.
But yeah, this is a really, really good score.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great number one.
Yeah. You had a really great list, man. You had some movies that I didn't even think of that were obvious, like Psycho, like that.
Right. Well, thank you. Yeah. I tried to go with stuff that I truly listen to, like if not regularly, at least a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of mixing it up a little bit so that it's not just, my list wasn't just Jurassic Park, just a bunch of superhero movies and John Williams. I'm trying to make it a little bit more, mixed up than that. So this was a lot of fun. We should do top 10s more often, although they do tend to be long episodes, but I'm okay with that. This is going to just take me 3 days to edit. But that's okay. Well, we'd love to know what your top 10 or top 15 favorite movie scores are. Please let us know at cinemaheroes.com. You can also comment on our Instagram posts at cinemaheroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comment down below about the movie scores that you love, and give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear from you however you want to reach out to us. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.